You sit at your dining table late at night, staring at the faint blue glow of your laptop screen. You are exhausted, your mind races with a dozen open tabs and unfinished projects, and you ask yourself the same heavy, quiet question you have asked every night for the last 10 years. Why, no matter how much I achieve, do I feel more scattered and overwhelmed than ever? You were told that if you simply collected more information, mastered more tools, and chased more goals, ultimate success would follow. Yet the noise rises, your mental margin shrinks, and the gap between moving and achieving becomes an endless loop of exertion. The truth you have been avoiding is that success is not a matter of accumulation, it is a matter of reduction. In a world that glorifies the addition of complexity, true mastery requires a disciplined, sacred framework of subtraction. What if the secret to building a meaningful, prosperous life does not lie in doing more, but in mastering the intentional, minimalist power of simplicity? If you are ready to let go of the struggle and take absolute command of your destiny, I invite you to subscribe to this channel today. Join us in this journey of transformation, and let us unlock the extraordinary potential of a calm, deep, and focused life. Chapter 1. The anatomy of the overwhelmed mind. You stand at the edge of a colossal, bustling metropolis built from neon light and infinite glass. Above you, a sky made of screens flickers with the colors of 1,000 voices, each one calling out to you, demanding a piece of your focus. You hold a heavy, glowing slate in your hand, feeling the vibration against your skin. You tell yourself that this window into the universe is your connection to the world, your lifeline to success, and your source of truth. But look closer. The glass is not a window. It is an endless, bottomless, and silent mirror of your own fragmented desires. You are overthinking whether you should buy the latest gadget, whether you should invest in the newest trend, or whether you should respond to an emergency that does not exist. The weight of this invisible world is breaking your concentration, leaving your best ideas unbuilt and your mind tired. This is the anatomy of the unspoken truth. This is the silent trap where your potential goes to sleep. And this chapter is about waking up from the trance of complexity. And the relatable problem we face every single day is continuous mental anxiety. We are not truly present anywhere because we are worried about the future everywhere. You sit down to do deep, meaningful, and creative work, but the tiny red notification on your device calls to you like a siren in the night. You check it for just 1 second, and in that second, 15 minutes of your life are gone, swallowed by a vortex of opinions and images that have absolutely nothing to do with your life's mission. We blame our lack of progress on a lack of time, but the truth is, we are not short on time, we are short on attention. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess, and you are spending it on things that yield no return on the investment of your soul. Psychologically, how the digital void exploits the dopamine reward system of the primitive brain. Every time you pull down to refresh, your brain experiences a tiny, unpredictable hit of pleasure, not unlike a slot machine in a casino. You do not know what you are going to get. An important message, a like from a stranger, or a completely useless piece of news. The unpredictability makes it addictive, and before you know it, your brain is conditioned to run away from the discomfort of deep, linear focus. To achieve peak performance, you must understand that the human brain was not designed to process the input of 8 billion people every day. It was designed to do deep, meaningful work in quiet, focused spaces. You must transition from being a passive consumer of algorithmic noise to an active creator of your own reality. Imagine you are an ancient alchemist standing in front of a heavy iron door that leads to your inner sanctum. On the other side of the door lies your greatest potential, your deepest focus, and the peak performance you have been seeking for years. But to get to the other side, you must put down the heavy, glowing glass that is weighing down your hands. Letting go of the screen feels uncomfortable at first. You might feel a sudden surge of panic, a fear of missing out, or a deep sense of restlessness, but that discomfort is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is the withdrawal symptom of an overstimulated mind. It is the sign that the chains of the algorithm are beginning to stretch and break. Let me tell you the story of a man named Julian. King Julian was a brilliant financial analyst who spent his entire day navigating complex charts and data streams. But when he came home, the digital void did not let him rest. He would lie on his couch, endlessly scrolling through political debates, sports highlights, and social media feeds, feeling a quiet, gnawing anxiety in his chest. He could not sleep, he could not read a book, and he could not look his family in the eye without thinking about his next notification. He was living in a constant state of vibrational entrainment, matching the frantic frequency of the internet. And then something shifted. One evening, Julian's phone battery died in the middle of a scroll. He felt an immediate sharp wave of panic in his gut, followed by an unexpected, strange, and beautiful silence. He looked around his room, and he saw the dust motes dancing in the light of the setting sun. He heard the sound of the rain against the window pane. In that silence, Julian realized that he had been living in an artificial world while his real life was waiting for him in the room. He decided to turn off his phone every evening at 7 o'clock and leave it in the kitchen. At first, Julian found himself pacing the room, looking for his fix. But after a few days, the mental fog began to lift. He started reading thick historical biographies. He started sleeping 7 uninterrupted hours every night. His focus at work skyrocketed because his prefrontal cortex was no longer exhausted by the noise of the digital void. Julian realized that peak performance was not a matter of taking more energy drinks or using more productivity apps. It was a matter of removing the drain on his attention. The lesson for you is this: your mind is a sanctuary, not a public square. When you clear the noise, you don't lose the world, you find yourself. You stay focused not because you are special, but because you have removed the distractions that keep you fragmented. You are no longer a victim of the algorithm's agenda. You are the architect of your own focus. As you move through your day, practice the digital sunset drill. At a specific time every evening, turn off your devices and put them in a drawer. Do not look at them until the sun rises. Feel the discomfort and watch it pass. You are the ship, not the storm. In the next chapter, we will explore the paradox of connectivity and the myth of the busy mind. Chapter 2. The paradox of connectivity and the myth of the busy mind. You are sitting at a long, beautiful wooden table in the quiet corner of a library. The sun is streaming through the tall, stained glass windows, and the scent of aged paper and wood fills the air. You open a notebook and place a fine-pointed fountain pen on the white page. You are ready to write the first chapter of your future, the blueprint of your next great achievement. But right at that moment, your wrist vibrates with the arrival of an email, a message, and a news alert. You reach for the glass screen and look at it. Suddenly, the quiet space of the library disappears, replaced by the chaotic energy of 10,000 opinions. You are connected to everyone, yet you are deeply and profoundly alone. This is the paradox of connectivity. On this chapter is about the myth of the busy mind. The relatable problem we face is the false equivalence between being busy and being effective. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We tell ourselves that because we answer 50 emails a day, attend 6 meetings, and respond to every notification within 30 seconds, we are successful. We are terrified of being still because we fear what our minds might say to us in the silence. We use the digital noise to drown out the quiet, deep, and uncomfortable questions about our purpose, our relationships, and our true direction. We overthink our days until we are too tired to do the real, deep work that changes our trajectory. Psychologically, the busy mind is a defense mechanism. It is much easier to be busy with trivial tasks than it is to be focused on the hard, creative, and transformative work that defines peak performance. When you are busy, you are always in a state of reaction. You are the ball in a pinball machine, bouncing from one obstacle to another, never choosing your own direction. But peak performance requires intention, concentration, and long periods of deep work. It requires you to be in charge of your schedule, your mind, and your focus. Imagine you are a magnificent deep water well. If you have 1,000 tiny buckets drawing water from the well every hour, the water never gets a chance to pool, to clear, and to become deep and pure. The well stays muddy and low, but if you cap the buckets and allow the water to accumulate, the well becomes clear, deep, and abundant. Your mind is that well. When you allow external demands to draw your attention in 1,000 different directions, your capacity for deep thought becomes shallow. Staying calm and performing at your peak means capping the buckets. Let me tell you about a woman named Elena. Elena was an executive director for a large environmental non-profit. Her days were filled with endless meetings, constant Slack messages, and a flood of emails that never stopped. She felt like she was always putting out fires, always running behind, and never quite catching up. She would go to bed with her phone on her chest, waking up every hour to check for messages from international offices. She was busy, but she was not effective. And then something shifted. Elena's team was assigned a new project that required deep, focused, and creative thinking, writing a 5-year strategy document that would reshape their funding model. But she knew she could not do it while being connected all day long. She made a bold decision. She blocked out 4 hours every morning from 8 until 12, during which she put her phone in airplane mode and closed her email client. No one could reach her except for true emergencies. For the first few days, her team panicked. They didn't know what to do without her immediate feedback. But as the days passed, something incredible happened. Her team started making their own decisions. They became more autonomous, more creative, and more confident. And Elena wrote a strategy document that was so clear, so compelling, and so insightful that it doubled their funding within 6 months. Elena realized that being connected didn't mean being helpful. By disconnecting from the trivial, she had elevated her impact. The lesson for you is this: peak performance requires you to be unavailable for the non-essential. When you are constantly connected, you are acting as an assistant to someone else's agenda. You must become the director of your own life. You must stop overthinking whether you are letting people down by not responding right away. When you give yourself the gift of deep, uninterrupted time, you are not just helping yourself, you are doing your best work for the world. To practice this, engage in the 4-hour deep work block. Tomorrow morning, pick one single, important task that moves the needle of your life. Turn off all notifications, hide the phone in a drawer, and work on that task with absolute concentration. You will be amazed at how much you can achieve in 4 hours of deep work compared to 40 hours of fragmented reaction. And then something will shift. You will notice that the constant hum of anxiety in your chest starts to fade, replaced by a deep sense of satisfaction. In the next chapter, we will explore the psychology of the notification and how to break free from the digital panic. Chapter 3. The psychology of the notification and the digital panic. You are walking down a quiet city street in the early hours of the morning. The air is cool and crisp, and the streetlights cast long, soft shadows against the brick walls. You feel at peace. Suddenly, a high, piercing chime breaks the silence. Your phone screen lights up with a message. Your heart jumps in your chest, your breathing quickens, and your hand reaches into your pocket before you even know what you are doing. Your mind is flooded with adrenaline and cortisol. You have just experienced a digital panic attack. This chapter is about the psychology of the notification. The relatable problem we face is the hijacking of our nervous system by external stimuli. Notifications are designed by companies to trigger the same fight or flight response that our ancestors felt when they saw a predator in the bushes. They do this because they know that fear, anger, and urgency are the most effective ways to capture your attention. You think that by checking the notification you are staying informed, but you are actually allowing your nervous system to be traumatized dozens of times a day. This is why you are exhausted when you get home from work. Not from the work you did, but from the constant shocks your system sustained. Psychologically, the notification is an intrusion on your cognitive sovereignty. Or when a chime goes off, your brain is forced to stop whatever it was doing and evaluate the new threat or opportunity. This process is called attention residue. Even after you dismiss the notification and go back to your work, a part of your mind is still thinking about the message. It takes an average of 23 minutes to regain deep focus after a single interruption. If you get 20 notifications a day, your mind is never in a state of deep work. It is always recovering from the last interruption. Imagine you are a master calligrapher. You are sitting at your desk, dipping your brush into a beautiful, deep well of black ink and preparing to make a single, perfect stroke on a scroll of handmade paper. Just as your hand is about to touch the paper, someone blows a loud horn directly into your ear. Your hand shakes, but the ink spills and the scroll is ruined. And this is what you do to your mind every time you allow a notification to interrupt your day. To achieve peak performance, you must alchemize the noise into silence. Let me tell you about a man named David. David was a software engineer who worked on high-frequency trading algorithms. His work required deep, sustained, and flawless concentration. But David was a slave to his notifications. He had alerts for every message, every stock movement, and every news flash. He felt like his heart was constantly racing. He was overthinking every line of code, checking and rechecking his work. And he was exhausted by noon. And then something shifted. David studied the effect of interruptions on the prefrontal cortex. He was shocked to realize that he was spending more time recovering from interruptions than he was writing code. He decided to perform an experiment. He turned off all notifications on his phone and computer. No dings, no chimes, no banners. He set up his communication apps to be checked only twice a day, once at 11 in the morning and once at 4 in the afternoon. At first, David felt an intense fear of missing something critical. He felt twitchy and anxious, as if he were missing a limb. But after a few days, the anxiety disappeared, replaced by a deep, beautiful, and clear silence. He found that he was finishing his work by 2 in the afternoon, with energy to spare for his family and his own creative projects. David had alchemized the digital panic into flow state. The lesson for you is this: you are not a machine that needs to be constantly updated. You are a biological organism that needs peace to thrive. Staying calm and performing at your peak means setting strict boundaries around your nervous system. You are the one who decides when to let the world in, not the other way around. To practice this, engage in the notification audit. Go into your settings right now and turn off every notification except for direct calls from your closest loved ones. All social media, all news, all promotional alerts, turn them off. When you take control of your alerts, you take control of your time and your mind, and then something will shift. You will feel a profound sense of calm, as if you have dropped a heavy iron backpack after a long hike. In the next chapter, we will explore the law of the mirror and the projection of peace. Chapter 4. The law of the mirror and the projection of peace. You are standing in the middle of an ancient hall lined with magnificent silver mirrors. Wherever you turn, you see a version of yourself. You see your face, your posture, and your expressions. You look at one mirror and you see someone who is tired, anxious, and overwhelmed by the digital noise. You look at another mirror and you see the person you are becoming, clear, focused, and unshakable. Soren, a wise philosopher, once said that the world is a mirror that reflects your internal state back to you. If you are angry inside, you will see enemies everywhere. If you are calm inside, you will see teachers in every situation. This is the law of the mirror, and it is the key to maintaining focus in a world full of noise. The relatable problem we face is the tendency to let other people's chaos become our own. We read an angry comment on the internet, or we listen to a colleague's frantic updates, and we immediately mirror their frequency. We feel our heart rate increase, we get defensive, and we want to strike back. We think that If we are not upset, we are not taking the situation seriously. We are exhausted because we are spending our days reflecting the chaos of the world instead of radiating our own calm. Psychologically, this is known as emotional contagion. Your nervous system is designed to synchronize with the most stable nervous system in the group. If you are the most stable system, the chaos around you will entrain with your calm rather than the other way around. But to do this, you must build an internal anchor. You must realize that other people's reactions are just information about their own state of mind, not a command for you to react. You must move from being a reflector to being a refractor of reality. Imagine you are a deep, clear lake high up in the mountains. The surface is calm, glassy, and still. A strong wind blows across the valley and throws a heavy rock into the center of the lake. If you are a shallow puddle, the water gets muddy, the spray goes everywhere, and the entire ecosystem is disrupted for hours. But if you are a deep lake, the rock hits the surface, creates a few ripples, and then sinks into the depths where it is silently absorbed. The lake doesn't fight the rock, it just absorbs the energy and returns to its natural state. This chapter is about becoming the lake. Let me tell you about a woman named Sophia. Sophia was a customer service manager for a global technology firm. Her days were filled with calls from people who were angry about lost data or delayed shipments. For years, she mirrored their frequency. She went home with headaches, feeling angry and resentful. She was overthinking every interaction, wondering if she should have been firmer or softer. And then something shifted. She learned about the law of the mirror. She realized that the customer's anger was not about Sophia. It was about the customer's own fear of losing their data. The next day, when an angry man screamed at her over the phone, Sophia took a slow, deep breath and imagined that she was looking at a mirror. She saw the fear and the vulnerability beneath the man's rage. Instead of getting defensive, Sophia spoke in a calm, steady, and low voice. She listened to the man without interrupting. She acknowledged his frustration without accepting his anger as her own. And because she refused to mirror the man's energy, the man's voice gradually softened. By the end of the call, he was apologizing for his tone and thanking her for her help. Sophia had neutralized the chaos with her own calm. The lesson for you is this: you cannot be upset by someone else's mirror unless you choose to look at it. When you stay calm, you become unshakable. You realize that your state of mind is your private property, and you do not have to let anyone else enter it without your permission. You stay positive because your energy is derived from your internal source, not from the external world. To practice this, engage in the mountain meditation. And the next time someone tries to drag you into an argument or a frantic situation, imagine that you are a huge, ancient mountain. The wind of their anger blows against your rock face, but you do not move. You simply stand. You are stable, you are certain, and you are calm. And then something will shift. You will find that you no longer fear difficult people or chaotic situations. You will walk through the world with a quiet, certain confidence that calms everyone around you. In the next chapter, we will explore the alchemy of the sacred pause. Chapter 5. The alchemy of response and the sacred pause. Between the moment something happens to you and the moment you respond, there is a tiny, microscopic sliver of time. In that sliver of time lies your entire destiny. This is the space. Now, most people don't even know the space exists. Why? They live in a state of automatic reaction. Someone insults them, they get angry. The internet goes down, they get frustrated. They are like a piano. If you hit a key, a specific sound must come out. But you are not a piano. You are the musician. This chapter is about mastering the alchemy of response. It is about widening that space until it becomes a cathedral of choice. It is about realizing that staying calm isn't about feeling nothing. It's about choosing everything. The relatable problem is the limbic hijack. When a stimulus enters your environment, it travels first to the amygdala, the emotional, primitive part of your brain. This part of you is fast, loud, and very old. It wants to protect you, so it offers you a prepackaged reaction. It offers you rage, fear, or avoidance. If you are not conscious, you will identify with that emotion and act on it instantly. This is high-friction living. You are constantly cleaning up messes caused by your own automatic pilot. To stay calm, you must learn to intercept the signal. You must move the information from the primitive limbic system to the advanced prefrontal cortex. You must move from reacting to responding. Psychologically, this is pattern interruption. To stay positive, you need a sacred pause. The moment you feel that heat in your chest, the moment the limbic alarm goes off, you must do something physically different. You take a deep belly breath. You clench and release your fists. You describe the room around you. This interrupts the automatic circuit. It buys you the space. In that space, you ask yourself a sovereign question. Is this reaction consistent with the person I am becoming, or will this response matter in a year? This inquiry wakes up the executive mind. It alchemizes the raw lead of reaction into the gold of intentionality. Imagine you are a surge protector. The world is full of power surges, sudden bursts of negativity, chaos, and stress. If you are just a copper wire, that surge travels straight through you and fries your internal circuitry. You short-circuit, you break down. But if you are a surge protector, you absorb the voltage without transmitting the damage. You have an internal buffer that neutralizes the shock. Staying calm is the act of being that surge protector. You receive the energy of the world, but you refuse to propagate the damage. You end the cycle of chaos at your own border. Mama, let me tell you about a man named Julian. Julian was a conflict mediator who worked in high-stakes corporate disputes. His job was to sit in a room with people who hated each other and find a way forward. One day, during a particularly toxic session, one of the clients stood up and screamed a vile insult directly into Julian's face. The room went dead silent. Everyone expected Julian to defend himself, to shout back, or to walk out. And then something shifted. Julian didn't react. He didn't even blink. He sat in the silence for a full 10 seconds. He observed the anger in his own body, and then he let it go. He looked at the screaming man with a calm, steady gaze and said, "I can see you are in a lot of pain. How can we use that energy to solve this problem?" The man deflated. The power of his anger had no place to land. Now, because Julian controlled the space, he controlled the room. He alchemized a moment of violence into a moment of breakthrough. Julian realized that the person with the most calm always has the most power. The lesson is this: your peace is your responsibility. No one can make you angry without your consent. They can offer you anger, but you do not have to accept the gift. When you react, you give away your power. You grant the external world remote control over your internal state. When you respond, you keep the remote. You stay positive, not because the situation is good, but because you are committed to goodness. You realize that a calm response is the most efficient way to manage a negative situation. As you move through your day, practice the 5-second buffer. Whenever you feel provoked, wait for 5 seconds before you speak or act. In those 5 seconds, witness the impulse to react. See it as a suggestion, not a command. Choose a response that serves your long-term peace. You are training your brain to value sovereignty over catharsis. You are building the cathedral of choice. And then something will shift. You will start to feel a sense of unshakable confidence, because you know that no matter what the world throws at you, you have the alchemy to transform it. You are no longer scared of the storm because you have mastered the pause. In the next chapter, we will explore the alchemy of the negative and how to use the dark to find the light. Chapter 6. The Alchemy of the Negative. You are standing in front of a massive, ancient forge. The air is thick with the scent of burning coal and hot iron. In your hand, you hold a jagged, rusted piece of scrap metal. This metal represents your bad days, your failures, your losses, and the biting words of those who have doubted you. Most people look at this scrap and see trash. They want to throw it away, to hide it, or to pretend it doesn't exist, but a master alchemist knows a secret. You cannot make a sword without fire, and you cannot build a soul without weight. This chapter is about the alchemy of the negative. It is about realizing that staying positive isn't about avoiding the dark. It's about using the dark to find the light. The relatable problem we all share is that we view pain as an interruption. We think, I would be happy if only this hadn't happened. We treat our struggles like bugs in the system rather than features of the design. This creates a state of resistance. And in the world of psychology, there is a fundamental law: what you resist persists. When you fight against a negative emotion or a difficult circumstance, you are actually giving it your energy. You are making it solid. You stay stressed because you are trying to push away something that is already here. To stay calm, you must move from resistance to transmutation. This is the core of alchemy. You don't try to get rid of the lead of your life. You change its vibrational state into gold. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, how is this happening for me? This isn't just a clever play on words. It is a profound shift in cognitive appraisal. It is the moment you realize that the obstacle isn't in the way. The obstacle is the way. Imagine you are a world-class sailor. But do you want a sea that is always calm? Do you want a world without wind? No, a sailor who only knows how to navigate calm waters is not a sailor at all. They are just a passenger. The sailor needs the wind. Even if the wind is blowing in the wrong direction, the sailor can use a technique called tacking. By angling the sails just right, the sailor can use the very force that is trying to push them back to propel themselves forward. They alchemize the opposition into momentum. Let me tell you about the Japanese art of kintsugi. In ancient Japan, when a valuable piece of pottery was broken, it wasn't thrown away. Instead, a master craftsman would take the shards and join them back together using a special lacquer mixed with pure gold. The resulting bowl was more beautiful and far stronger than the original. The break was not hidden. As it was highlighted, it became the most valuable part of the piece. I once knew a man named David who lived this philosophy. David was a professional musician who lost his hearing in his right ear due to a sudden illness. For a musician, this was the ultimate negative. It was the lead that threatened to crush his soul. For a year, David lived in a forest of why me? He was bitter, he was angry, and his calm was non-existent. He looked at his broken hearing as a sentence. And then something shifted. David stopped fighting the silence. He started to pay attention to the vibrations of the music in his chest. He realized that because he couldn't hear the high-frequency noise as clearly, he was becoming more sensitive to the rhythm and the soul of the sound. He started writing music that was deeper, more percussive, and more emotional than anything he had created before. He tacked into the wind. He used the silence as his gold. Today, David's music is played in concert halls around the world. If you ask him, he will tell you that he didn't succeed in spite of his hearing loss. He succeeded because of it. He alchemized his greatest pain into his greatest gift. The lesson for your life is this: a positive mindset is not a happy face. It is a functional perspective. It is the ability to look at a failure and see a lesson. It is the ability to look at heartbreak and see an expansion of your capacity to love. You stay calm because you know that nothing is wasted. Every negative is just unprocessed raw material for your future success. When you adopt this mindset, you become unshakable. Why? Because you are no longer afraid of bad things. You know that whatever the world throws at you, you have the forge to turn it into iron. To practice this, you must engage in reframing rituals. When something bad happens today, a missed deadline, a rude comment, a broken appliance, don't react. Alchemize. Take a breath and say, this is the lead, where is the gold? Look for the one small benefit hidden in the problem. Maybe the missed deadline allows you to produce better work. Maybe the rude comment reveals the insecurity of the other person and strengthens your compassion. Maybe the broken appliance is a chance to practice patience. And then something shifted. You will find that your stress starts to evaporate because there is nothing for it to hook onto. You have become a universal solvent. You take the acid of the world and you turn it into water. And you are moving from fragile to anti-fragile, a state where you actually grow from chaos. In the next chapter, we will explore the anatomy of the social mask, and we will learn how to stay calm when the world is judging you. Chapter 7. The anatomy of the social mask. You are standing on a stage in a vast, dark theatre. The spotlight is blindingly bright, and you can feel the weight of 10,000 eyes watching your every move. You are wearing an elaborate, heavy mask made of porcelain and silk. It is beautiful, but it is suffocating. You are terrified that if the mask slips, the audience will see the real you, the you that is tired, the you that is uncertain, the you that doesn't have all the answers. You are performing a character of calm while your true self is screaming for air. This is the social mask, as in it is the single greatest drain on your inner positivity. The relatable problem we all face is identity exhaustion. We spend so much energy trying to look okay that we have no energy left to actually be okay. We overthink our social interactions. Did I say the right thing? Do they like me? What if they find out I'm a fraud? We are staying calm on the outside while a war is raging on the inside. This is performative peace, and it is a lie. It creates a deep, hollow sense of negativity because you are betraying yourself every single day to please people who aren't even paying that much attention. Psychologically, this is the spotlight effect. We overestimate how much others are noticing our flaws. We think everyone is looking at the cracks in our mask, but the truth is, well, everyone else is too busy worrying about their own mask to notice yours. They are the protagonists of their own movies, and in their world you are just a background character. Realizing this is the ultimate liberation. It allows you to move from self-consciousness to self-presence. You stay calm not because you are perfect, but because you have stopped hiding. Imagine you are a mirror. If you are a mirror, you are constantly reflecting the expectations of others. If they are happy, you feel you must be happy. If they are critical, you feel you must be defensive. You have no color of your own. You are empty. But what if you were a diamond? A diamond doesn't reflect the light, it refracts it. It takes the light in and filters it through its internal structure, sending out its own unique brilliance. The diamond doesn't care what the source of the light is, it stays a diamond. Let me tell you the story of a woman named Claire. Claire was a high-stakes corporate lawyer. She was the queen of the social mask. She was always polished, always aggressive, and always right. She was the perfect professional. But inside, Claire was crumbling. She had chronic insomnia and a negative internal monologue that never stopped. She was terrified of being seen as weak. One day, in the middle of a high-pressure boardroom meeting, Claire made a mistake. She misquoted a vital piece of legislation. In the past, she would have lied, deflected, or masked it with arrogance. Her heart was racing. She could feel the spotlight burning. And then something shifted. Claire took a deep breath, took off her metaphorical mask, and did the unthinkable. She smiled, but leaned back and said, "You know what? I just made a mistake. I got that wrong. Give me a moment to correct it." The room went silent. Her colleagues stared. But instead of the judgment she expected, something miraculous happened. The tension in the room melted. One by one, her colleagues started relaxing. By admitting her vulnerability, Claire had authorized everyone else to be human too. She realized that her mask wasn't protecting her, it was isolating her. She became calmer than she had ever been because she had nothing left to hide. The lesson for you is this: authenticity is the shortest path to calm. When you stop trying to be positive and start being real, the stress of performance vanishes. You stay positive because you are aligned with truth. And you realize that judgment from others is usually just a reflection of their own internal pain. It isn't about you. When you realize it isn't about you, you stop taking things personally. And when you stop taking things personally, you become invincible. To practice this, engage in micro-doses of vulnerability. Today, when someone asks how you are, don't just say fine if you aren't. Say, I'm a bit overwhelmed today, but I'm working through it. Drop the mask in small ways. Own your mistakes immediately. Ask for help when you need it. You will find that the audience in the theater doesn't boo, they cheer. They have been waiting for someone to be real so they can take off their masks too. And then something shifted. You will feel a lightness in your chest that you haven't felt since you were a porcelain face. Next, you will realize that staying calm is easy when you aren't carrying the weight of a porcelain face. You are no longer a performer, you are a presence. In the next chapter, we will explore the anatomy of attachment and the art of letting go. Chapter 8. The anatomy of attachment and the art of letting go. Imagine you are standing on the deck of a ship in the middle of a violent storm. The waves are crashing over the bow and the wind is howling like a wounded animal. In your hands, you are clutching a heavy iron anchor. You believe that if you just hold on to this anchor tight enough, you can stop the ship from tossing. You think the anchor is your security, but the anchor isn't even touching the ocean floor. It's just hanging off the side, pulling the ship down deeper into the swells, making it harder to stay afloat. And your knuckles are bleeding, your back is breaking, and you are overthinking how to hold it better. This is attachment. This is the false belief that holding on is the same as staying safe. This chapter is about the art of letting go. It is about realizing that staying calm is a matter of opening your hands. The relatable problem we face is mental grasping. We attach our peace to specific outcomes. We will be okay if we get this deal. We will be happy if they like me. We will be calm if the weather is good. We are anchored to things we cannot control. When the deal falls through, or the person leaves, or the weather turns, we shatter because we have fused our identity with an external event. We overthink the loss because we believe the thing was us. But you are not the anchor. You are the ship. The anchor is just weight. Psychologically, this is known as identified attachment. To stay positive, you must practice non-attachment. This is not indifference. It isn't that you don't care. It is that you care without clinging. You move from I must have this to I would prefer this, but I am whole regardless. This psychological distance creates a safety net for your calm. When you aren't clinging to the results, you can enjoy the process. You become unshakable because you have nothing to lose that isn't already temporary. You stay positive because your joy is internal, not transactional. Imagine you are a river. A river doesn't hold on to the rocks it passes. It doesn't cling to the beautiful meadow on its banks. If the river tried to stop and hold a moment, it would become a stagnant pond. It would rot. The power and the purity of the river come from its flow. It experiences everything, but it attaches to nothing. It accepts the rain and the drought with the same fluidity. Staying calm is the act of becoming the river. You allow the events of life to flow through you without obstructing them with your ego. I want to tell you about a man named Arthur. Arthur was a collector of rare books. His entire identity and happiness were stored in his library. He was constantly anxious about humidity, fire, and theft. He was positive only when he was looking at his collection and negative the rest of the time because he was worried about protecting it. He was a slave to his possessions. And then something shifted. A flood hit Arthur's town. In a single afternoon, his library was destroyed. The anchors were gone. For weeks, Arthur was in a state of total collapse. He felt empty. He felt finished. But as he sat in his empty room, he noticed something strange. For the first time in 30 years, his anxiety was gone. He had nothing left to protect. He realized that Arthur was still there, even without the books. He felt a lightness he couldn't explain. Arthur discovered that letting go wasn't a loss, it was an unburdening. He started living in the now rather than worrying about the past he was storing on shelves. He became radiantly positive because he was finally free to be instead of have. The lesson for you is this: everything in the material world is on loan to you. Your job, your health, your possessions, even your loved ones. They are gifts to be enjoyed, not anchors to be clutched. When you accept the transience of life, you stop fighting reality. You stay calm because you know that change is the only constant. You appreciate the sunrise precisely because you know it will set. This perspective deepens your gratitude and kills your fear. As you move through your day, practice the open hand meditation. Literally open your hands and say, "I appreciate what I have, but I release my grip on the outcome." When you find yourself overthinking a potential loss, remind yourself, "I am the ship, not the anchor." Practice letting go of small things, a grudge, a plan that changed, a minor disappointment. Each release is a muscle contraction that you are learning to relax. And then something will shift. You will find that you have more energy because you aren't spending it all on clinging. You will experience a spontaneous positivity that doesn't need a reason. In the next chapter, we will explore the architecture of adaptive resonance and how to command the room with your presence. Chapter 9. The architecture of adaptive resonance. You often think of influence as something you do to others, a set of words, a tone of voice, a power play. But true charismatic dominance is not an external act. It is an internal frequency that forces the environment to tune itself to you. This is adaptive resonance. It is the ability to remain so grounded in your own reality that the world around you has no choice but to vibrate at your speed. Most people are reactors. They enter a room and unconsciously mirror the tension, the pace, and the energy of those already there. But the leader is a resonator. They do not mirror the room. They command the room to mirror them. This chapter is about the architecture of that resonance. It is about realizing that your presence is the tone that sets the tune for everyone else. The psychology of emotional contagion proves that humans are biologically wired to synchronize with the most stable nervous system in the group. If you enter a high-stress meeting with a frantic energy, you are simply adding fuel to the fire. You are resonating with the chaos. But if you enter that same meeting with a deep, slow, unshakable calm, the other nervous systems in the room will begin to entrain with yours. Their heart rates will slow, their breathing will deepen, they will look to you, not because you are shouting, but because you are the only one who isn't drowning. This is biological dominance. It is the silent authority of the person who refuses to be moved. To build adaptive resonance, you must master the internal anchor. Before you walk into any social or professional interaction, you must perform a sovereign alignment. You don't ask, "What do they want from me?" or "How should I act?" Instead, you ask, "What is the atmosphere I am bringing into this space?" You pre-decide your state. You decide that you are the ocean and they are the waves. The waves can crash, they can spray, they can foam, but they can never move the ocean. When you are resonated in your own purpose, your non-verbal cues, your eye contact, your posture, your micro-expressions become congruent. There is no leakage. You become a single, solid beam of presence. Imagine you are a cellist tuning an entire orchestra. When you strike your A string, it doesn't matter if the violins are out of tune or the flutes are screeching. You don't change your note to match theirs. You hold your note. You hold it loudly, clearly, and consistently. Eventually, one by one, the other instruments begin to adjust. They find your frequency. The discord turns into harmony. This is how you lead. You don't argue people into agreement. You resonate them into alignment. You stay calm and positive, not as a favor to them, but as a requirement for your command. Let me tell you about a man named Marcus. Marcus was a crisis negotiator who worked in life and death situations. He often had to speak with people who were in the middle of a psychotic break or a violent rage. Marcus never raised his voice. He never argued. He would sit in the middle of the screaming and the chaos and speak in a low, slow, rhythmic tone. He would maintain soft, unblinking eye contact, and then something shifted. The agitated person would slowly begin to quiet down. Their body language would shift from aggressive to submissive. They weren't giving up, they were resonating. They were being pulled into Marcus's field of calm. Marcus realized that presence is a gravity. The heavier your internal certainty, the more pull you have on the reality of others. He didn't use tactics, he used weight. He architected a space of safety so resonant that the chaos simply couldn't exist within it. The lesson is this: you are the author of the atmosphere. If you want respect, be respectful to yourself first. If you want calm, be the calmest person in the room. If you want positivity, exude it as a non-negotiable fact. Adaptive resonance is the final stage of environmental mastery. It is the realization that the internal always informs the external. When you master the vibration of your own soul, you master the world. Thus, as you move through your day, practice the resonant walk. When you enter a room, pause at the threshold for 1 second. Settle into your core. Feel your frequency. Decide that you are the tuning fork. Watch how the people around you begin to shift to match you. You aren't trying to lead, you are simply refusing to follow their distraction. And then something will shift. You will realize that staying calm is your greatest power play. You will experience the effortless authority of the resonator. In the next chapter, we will explore the legacy of stillness and how your peace becomes a gift to the world. Chapter 10. The Legacy of Stillness. We have come a long way together. We have dismantled the ghost of overthinking, built the fortress of routine, and mastered the alchemy of response. But the final secret of staying calm and positive is that it was never just for you. Your internal peace is a public service. In a world that is starving for stability, your stillness is bread, your calm is water, your positivity is light. This is the legacy of stillness. It is the realization that by saving yourself, you offer the world the permission to save itself too. The psychology of pro-social peace is the ultimate evolution of self-growth. When you reach a state of unshakable calm, you stop being a consumer of energy and start being a radiator of it. You become what researchers call a positive deviant, someone who thrives in an environment where others falter. This doesn't just make you successful, it makes you essential. You become the anchor for your family, the compass for your team, and the sanctuary for your friends. Your presence becomes a silent message that says, it is possible to be okay, it is possible to be happy, it is possible to be free. To anchor this legacy, you must move from learning to embodying. The tools we have discussed are no longer techniques you use. They are facets of who you are. You don't try to stay positive, you are positivity in motion. You don't struggle to stay calm, you are the stillness at the center of the storm. This is integration. It is the point where the effort ends and the essence begins. You have surrendered the suitcase for good. You are walking into your future with empty hands and an infinite heart. Imagine you are a lighthouse on a rocky coast. You don't run out into the water to save the ships. You don't scream at the waves to stop. You just stand and you shine. Your job is simply to keep your light burning. The ships navigate because of you, but they don't own you. The storm rages around you, but it doesn't move you. You are a fixed point in a fluid world. This is the highest form of leadership. It is leading by being. I want to tell you one last story about a man named Elias. Elias was a grandfather who had lived through wars, famines, and losses. He had every reason to be bitter and loud. Instead, he was the quietest, kindest man in his village. He spent his days sitting on a wooden bench under a large oak tree, carving small wooden figures for the children. He didn't give advice. He didn't lecture. He just was. And then something shifted. People started coming to Elias's bench just to sit with him. They would arrive stressed, angry, or confused. And after 10 minutes of sitting in Elias's silence, they would leave calm. They called it the Elias effect. Elias didn't do anything to them, he just held the space. He had refined his internal state so deeply that his stillness was contagious. When Elias passed away, the whole village felt a void, not because they missed his words, but because they missed his vibration. He left a legacy of stillness that lasted for generations. The lesson is this: your peace is the most powerful thing you own. It is the only thing the world cannot give you and the only thing the world cannot take away unless you let it. You have learned the simple solution. You have discovered that overthinking is a choice and calm is a commitment. You are no longer a victim of your mind. You are the master of your reality. As you step into the rest of your life, he said, I want you to take this stillness with you. Don't leave it in this recording. Carry it into your kitchen. Carry it into your office. Carry it into your arguments. Be the eye. Be the anchor. Be the light. You don't need to fix the world. You just need to refuse to add to its chaos. And then everything will shift. You will look back on the person you were before you heard these words, the stressed, overthinking, reactive person, and you will feel a deep sense of compassion. You will realize that they were just sleeping, and now finally you are awake. Welcome home. Chapter 11, The Leverage Point of Excellence. You are looking at a massive block of granite sitting in the center of a dusty workshop. The master builder hands you a small, sharp steel chisel and a heavy mallet. Do you look at the massive rock and then at the tiny tools in your hands, feeling the overwhelming weight of the work ahead? You start swinging the mallet, striking the stone at random, sweating and bleeding as tiny chips of dust fly into the air. You do this for days, wearing yourself down to the bone, but the rock barely changes. You are working harder, but you are not working smart. So this chapter is about finding the leverage point. It is about realizing that peak performance is not about the force of your effort, but the precision of your aim. The relatable problem we face is the exhaustion of brute force productivity. We have been conditioned to believe that the only way to achieve difficult things is through sheer exertion. We fill our schedules with low-leverage tasks, answering unimportant emails, organizing our desktops, and attending unnecessary meetings just to feel like we are moving forward. We are busy being busy, while the one or two critical tasks that actually determine our success are left untouched. We are burning our energy on the wrong activities, leaving no fuel for the projects that matter. Psychologically, this is known as the law of the vital few, or the Pareto principle. 80% of your results will come from 20% of your efforts. When you focus on the 20%, your output multiplies exponentially while your stress decreases. You are no longer trying to do everything, you are doing the right thing. To achieve this, you must learn to identify the highest leverage point in your life. You must stop overthinking the small stuff and direct your energy toward the vital few. Why, imagine you are a watchmaker working on a complex, delicate timepiece. You do not need a sledgehammer to fix the gears. You only need a tiny screwdriver applied to a very specific screw. A single turn of that screw in the right place can set the entire watch into motion. Your life is that timepiece. Finding the leverage point means identifying the one or two actions that will create the greatest impact on your business, your health, and your relationships. Let me tell you about a man named Samuel. Samuel was the chief executive of a mid-sized logistics firm. He worked 80 hours a week, checking every invoice, interviewing every candidate, and managing every minor dispute. He was always on the verge of collapse. He had no time for his family and his health was failing. He was working incredibly hard, but the company was not growing. And then something shifted. Samuel attended a seminar on high-performance strategy. He realized he was acting as a bottleneck for his own company. He decided to apply the Pareto principle. He performed an audit of his time and found that 80% of his company's revenue came from 3 key accounts, while his time was consumed by managing the other 95% of accounts that brought in very little. Samuel made a bold change. He hired 3 account managers to take over the small accounts and delegated the daily operations to his team. He focused all his energy on building deep relationships with the 3 key accounts and developing a new strategic plan for expansion. Within a year, the company's revenue doubled, while Samuel's workweek dropped to 40 hours. Samuel realized that working hard is a poor substitute for working smart. The lesson for you is this: you are not paid for the amount of time you spend on a task. you are paid for the value you create. When you direct your focus toward high-leverage activities, you amplify your impact. You stop being a technician in your own life and become the architect of your own results. To practice this, engage in the leverage audit. Write down all the tasks you do in a week. Identify the top 20% that produce 80% of your results, then eliminate, automate, or delegate the rest. You will be amazed at how much you can achieve by doing less, but doing it with greater focus. And then something will shift. You will notice the heavy burden of the struggle trap falling away, replaced by the effortless flow of high-leverage production. In the next chapter, we will explore the architecture of the deep work state. Chapter 12. The architecture of the deep work state. You are standing in the engine room of a colossal ocean liner. The air is warm, and the rhythmic, deep thumping of the massive pistons vibrates through the metal floor. Outside, the waves are crashing and the wind is howling, but down here in the engine room, everything is steady, powerful, and clear. The ship does not move by people rowing with oars. It moves because of the concentrated power of the engine. Your mind is that engine. This chapter is about building the architecture of the deep work state. It is about realizing that peak performance requires long, uninterrupted periods of concentration. The relatable problem we face is the fragmentation of our attention. We have built an environment that is designed to interrupt us. We live in a state of continuous partial attention, checking our phones, answering emails, and jumping from one task to another. We think we are multitasking, but psychology shows that multitasking is a myth. You are simply switching your attention rapidly between tasks, which causes cognitive fatigue and reduces the quality of your work. We are exhausted not because we are doing deep work, but because we are constantly switching contexts. Psychologically, deep work is a state of flow. When you are in flow, your brain alchemizes information into value at an incredible rate. You lose track of time, your inner critic goes silent, and your prefrontal cortex operates at peak efficiency. To enter this state, you must build a ritual around your focus. You need a trigger that tells your nervous system it is time to turn off the external world and turn on the internal engine. Imagine you are an eagle soaring high above the mountains. The eagle doesn't flap its wings every single second. Instead, it catches an upward thermal current and rides it, locking its wings in place and using the wind to soar without effort. Deep work is your thermal current. You must find the current, lock your focus, and ride it until you reach your destination, rather than flapping your attention in 1,000 different directions. Let me tell you about a woman named Maya. Maya was an architect who worked on complex, sustainable building designs. She was struggling to keep up with the demands of her firm, constantly interrupted by phone calls, questions from junior staff, and an endless stream of emails. She would go home at night feeling completely drained, yet feeling like she had accomplished nothing of real value. And then something shifted. Maya read about deep work and decided to redesign her workday. She instituted a no-interruption morning. From 8 until 12, her door was closed, her phone was off, and she did not check email. She used headphones to block out the noise of the office. She also made sure to have all the materials she needed, such as her blueprints and tracing paper, laid out on her desk before she began working. At first, her colleagues were frustrated by her unavailability, but as the weeks passed, they noticed that the designs Maya was producing were incredibly innovative and detailed. Maya was able to complete in 4 hours what used to take her 3 days of fragmented work. She had more energy, her designs were accepted for major projects, and she had her evenings completely free for her family and personal interests. The lesson for you is this: your focus is your most valuable asset. When you protect it from interruptions, you elevate your creative output. You stay calm and performing at your peak, not by working longer, but by working deeply. You become the engine of your own success. To practice this, engage in the deep work ritual. Choose a specific time every day, preferably in the morning, to lock in your focus. Turn off all communications, clear your workspace, and dedicate that time to a single, high-value project. Watch the magic of the deep work state transform your results, and then something will shift. You will notice that the constant hum of anxiety in your chest starts to fade, replaced by a deep sense of satisfaction. In the next chapter, we will explore the art of delegation and how to multiply your output. Chapter 13. The art of delegation and the leverage of others. You are standing on a large farm, looking at a vast golden field of wheat ready for harvest. In your hand, you hold a single, rusted sickle. You know that if you work 20 hours a day, you can harvest a small fraction of the field before the rain comes. You are sweating, your back is breaking, and you are overthinking whether you can finish the job alone. But look to your left. You have access to a large, modern combine harvester, fueled and ready to go. You don't need to harvest the field with your hands, and you just need to step into the machine and steer. This chapter is about the art of delegation. It is about realizing that working smart means leveraging the energy and skills of others. The relatable problem we face is the "I can do it better myself" syndrome. We hold on to low-value tasks because we are afraid they will not be done exactly the way we want them done. We become the bottleneck in our own lives, businesses, and careers. We think that doing everything ourselves is a sign of dedication, but it is actually a sign of poor strategy. When you do the work of a lower-paid assistant, you are not being a smart worker. You are just devaluing your own time. Psychologically, delegation is an act of trust and systems thinking. You must move from being a doer to being a leader. You must design systems and processes that allow others to perform tasks with autonomy and excellence. When you delegate, you free up your mental and physical energy for high-leverage strategic thinking. You are no longer trading time for money. You are using capital and systems to multiply your output. Imagine you are a conductor of a grand symphony. You do not play the violin, the flute, or the cello. If you tried to play every instrument, the music would be a disaster. Your role as a conductor is to bring the musicians together, set the tempo, and draw out the best performance from each of them. When you are the conductor, the symphony becomes a masterpiece. Staying calm and effective means taking your place at the conductor's podium. Let me tell you about a man named Richard. Richard ran a digital marketing agency, but he worked 70 hours a week writing copy, designing graphics, and dealing with clients. He was the center of his business, and if he took a single day off, the entire operation would grind to a halt. He was exhausted and saw no path to growth without working even harder. And then something shifted. Richard's business was growing, and he realized he could not keep up with the demand. He decided to experiment with delegation. He hired a virtual assistant to handle his emails and scheduling, a junior marketer to write basic copy, and a graphic designer to create visual assets. He spent his time onboarding these team members and setting up simple standard operating procedures. At first, Richard was anxious about the quality of the work, but as the new team members learned the systems, the results exceeded his expectations. Richard's business grew rapidly, and he was able to take a month-long vacation for the first time in 10 years. He realized that the way to achieve more was not to do more, but to leverage the talents of others. The lesson for you is this: your time is limited, but your potential impact is unlimited. When you delegate the tasks that others can do well, you open up space for strategic leverage. You stop being the technician and start being the visionary. To practice this, engage in the delegation audit. Identify 3 tasks in your life or business that take up your time but do not require your unique creative genius. Delegate or outsource these tasks this week. Use that time to focus on high-leverage, strategic initiatives, and then something will shift. You will feel a great sense of lightness and freedom, knowing that your systems are working for you. In the next chapter, we will explore the power of rest and how it fuels your productivity. Chapter 14. The power of strategic rest. You are standing at the base of a magnificent snow-capped mountain. You look up at the peak, shrouded in white clouds, and you want to reach the summit before the sun sets. The traditional productivity mindset tells you to keep climbing, to push through the pain, and not to stop until you reach the top. But if you do not stop to rest, to eat, and to sleep, you will freeze or fall into a crevasse. you will be exhausted and fail. A wise mountaineer knows that the climb is not just about the effort, it is about the base camps. This chapter is about the power of strategic rest. It is about realizing that recovery is not the opposite of productivity, it is the fuel for it. The relatable problem we face is the glorification of exhaustion. We think that working through the weekend and skipping our vacations makes us strong. We overthink our projects until we are too tired to think clearly. We make mistakes, our creativity dries up, and we are easily frustrated. We work harder and harder, but our output becomes low quality. We are like an engine running on empty, trying to go faster and faster, ignoring the warning lights on the dashboard. Psychologically, the brain requires downtime to consolidate information, solve complex problems, and recharge its creative reserves. This is the function of the default mode network, the network in your brain that becomes active when you are not focused on a specific task. When you rest, walk in nature, meditate, or sleep, your brain is connecting dots, finding solutions, and rebuilding the energy of your prefrontal cortex. Strategic rest is the true engine of peak performance. Imagine you are a high-performance sports car. You do not win the race by making the car run continuously without stopping. You win the race by having a highly efficient pit stop strategy. You change the tires, refuel, and get back on the track with maximum performance. Strategic rest is your pit stop. You must build regular recovery periods into your day, your week, and your year to perform at your best. Let me tell you about a woman named Sarah. Sarah was a researcher in a biotechnology laboratory. She was working on a new drug discovery, spending long hours at her desk and in the lab, trying to find a solution to a specific molecular structure. She was exhausted, irritable, and unable to make progress. Her mind was in a state of deep overthinking. And then something shifted. Sarah decided to take a weekend off and spend it hiking in the mountains, disconnected from her work and her phone. She didn't think about the laboratory or the data. She just focused on the trail, the trees, and the mountain air. She slept 9 hours each night and ate good, simple food. On Monday morning, Sarah returned to the laboratory feeling completely refreshed. As she sat at her desk to look at the data again, the solution to the problem came to her in a flash of insight. The connection between the molecules was clear, and she was able to complete her research months ahead of schedule. Sarah realized that the rest had done more for her work than hours of extra effort. And the lesson for you is this: your best ideas do not come to you when you are pushing yourself to the limit. They come to you when you are rested, clear, and open. Staying calm and performing at your peak means prioritizing your recovery. You are the source of the results, and the source must be maintained. To practice this, engage in the strategic pause. Take a short walk every afternoon without your phone. Take one full day off every week, completely disconnected from work. And take regular vacations to restore your creative energy. You will find that you achieve more when you are rested than when you are exhausted. And then something will shift. You will experience a deep sense of joy and clarity in your life. In the final chapter, we will explore the architecture of the unshakable foundation and how to live a life of peace and leverage. Chapter 15: The Unshakable Foundation of Smart Leverage. You are standing at the edge of the ocean as the tide begins to pull back. Beneath your feet, the wet sand feels solid at first, but as the water rushes over your toes, the ground starts to dissolve. You feel yourself sinking, tilting, and grasping for balance. This is how most people experience their productivity life. They build their success on the shifting sands of external exertion. They work harder and harder, trying to force results through sheer effort. But as you have learned throughout this journey, true productivity cannot be a fair-weather friend. It must be something deeper. It must be the bedrock beneath the sand. This final chapter is about the unshakable foundation, the point where you stop struggling and realize that you are the stillness itself. The relatable problem we face is the fragility of progress. You might fear that once this recording ends, the struggle will return. You worry that the next crisis will shatter your leverage systems and leave you back at the beginning, drowning in overthinking. This fear is actually the final gasp of the old conditioned mind. It wants to convince you that your efficiency is a temporary state rather than a permanent identity. It wants you to believe that working smart is a fragile technique that can be broken rather than a mountain that can only be weathered. Psychologically, we are moving from state-level effort to trait-level equanimity. A state is a passing mood, or a trait is a fundamental part of your character. To stay effective and positive every day, you must undergo a neurobiological shift. You are no longer practicing these systems, you are living them. Your brain has begun to prune the old, frantic pathways and strengthen the new, high-leverage pathways. You have moved from active construction to passive sovereignty. You don't have to work to be efficient anymore because smart leverage is no longer a task. It is your default. Imagine you are a magnificent bronze bell. When the world strikes you with the hammer of a crisis, what sound do you make? If you are a bell made of tin, you make a thin, discordant clang that hurts the ears. But if you are a masterpiece cast in bronze, you produce a deep, rich, resonant tone that vibrates with authority. The hammer is the same, but the result is different because the material is different. The unshakable foundation is the process of recasting your professional soul into bronze. You stay productive not because the world stopped being busy, but because you have changed the frequency of your response. Let me tell you one final story about a man named David. David was a senior engineer who had spent his life building complex mechanical systems. He was a perfectionist, and his exhaustion was the fuel for his success. But when a major project deadline approached, many of his designs, the ones he thought were solid, required adjustments. David was devastated. He felt like his life's work and his mental peace had collapsed at once. And then something shifted. David traveled to an ancient temple in the mountains that had survived for 1,000 years, despite countless quakes. He asked the head monk how the stone structure remained unshakable while modern steel snapped. The monk led him to the foundation and showed him that the stones were not glued or welded together. They were balanced. They were designed to shift with the earth, absorb the shock, and return to center. The foundation wasn't rigid, it was adaptive. David realized that his productivity mindset was trying to be rigid. He was trying to fight the challenges of his career with brute force. He returned home and began to build his leverage foundation the same way. He stopped fighting the stress and started absorbing it. He stopped overthinking the minor issues and focused on the key leverage points. He became permanently calm because he realized that strength isn't the absence of movement, it is the certainty of return. Now, he didn't survive the next crisis, he resonated through it. The lesson for you is this: you are now self-correcting. The leverage blueprint is not about never feeling busy again. It is about knowing the way back to the center so well that you never stay lost for more than a breath. You are the master of your reality. Your foundation is unshakable because it is fluid. You stay productive because you know that smart leverage always leads you back to the center. You have quieted your mind by integrating the noise into the music. As you walk into the rest of your story, I want you to trust the recasting. You are no longer the tin bell, you are the bronze. When life strikes you, listen to the tone you produced. It is deep, it is rich, it is quiet, it is you. You don't need to hold on to these lessons anymore. They are in your blood. And they are in your breath. The hurricane has no power here. The sand has turned to stone. The exhausted mind has found its peace. You are unshakable. You are ready. You are free.